Yo, what's good? It's your boy Raysean from the Raysean Gadson Anime Podcast, or RGAP for short. And on today's episode, we got a special guest for you guys. William Johnson-Ofoegbu, a professional voice actor. Join us as we dive into the world of voice acting, exploring William's personal journey and achievements, and uncovering his anime origin story, and also tips for anyone out there trying to get into voice acting. If that sounds interesting to you, then sit back and enjoy the ride. Before we get started with today's episode, I just want to allow my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. Basically, give us your name, your occupation, how many years in the game. And also, could you share your top 2 favorite villains and why?
Favorite villains, man. And this is in a particular verse, or is it just
whatever
overall?
verse, your favorite villains.
Oh, real? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is William Ofoegbu, the voice of Omisaw in One Piece, Joseph Albright in Reign of the Seven Spellblades. Most recently, I've been, what's his cha-cha-cha self? Mad Mole in a Fairy Tale 100 Years Quest, and Ethan Drive in My Hero Academia. I'm a voice actor, do a lot of English voices for video games and anime. And, I've been an actor for like a decade at least now. And I'm glad that I ended up pursuing specifically voice acting because this is what inspired me to begin with. And I'm happy to be on here. Now, the real stuff. Who's my favorite villains? Top villain ever. Number 1 in the really is Naraku.
Okay, that's a good pick.
My man was the biggest hater. He was so hateful that he let all them demons eat him and then manifest into like an ultimate demon just because he was a lot of bit jelly. I mean, he was everything. He didn't even hide that. He was about that life. He said, I came for the smoke. You better bring the heat. And that was it. He didn't care who he messed with.
I think that's one of the first villains I've ever seen that just kept coming back. It's like no matter what they had for him, he just kept coming back. You're like, what the fuck, man? And then, he's
and then let's see, my second favorite villain, man. Oh, or at least my other top favorite villain. Who would I say? I want to say Frieza, but I remember back in the day I used to say Team Rocket. And Team Rocket's always been like my favorite group, and I would refer to them as villains back in the day, but they're not exactly villains. They're the op, but they're not exactly like super evil. They shine through every once in a while. I guess I would say my others would be Frieza. Frieza is awful. I think we all know why.
I mean, one of the most racist people in the game. If he literally wasn't talking about Saiyans when he was saying monkeys, man, I don't even know if I could watch Dragon Ball. You just be like, man, that's a little too out there for me. But yes, usually I always pick Frieza on my list. I chose some villains that are like my B tier because I usually choose the same villains in my A tier, but I wanted to kind of think out a little bit. So basically, for my list, I went with Crocodile as my first one. I thought from One Piece, this was literally like the first person we seen trying to take over a literal kingdom, literally depriving the citizens of water and everything. It almost took down our main hero a few times. So yeah, get Crocodile his props for that. And for my next one, I had to think a little bit for this one, and I was looking through lists, and when I seen this name, I just was like, oh, this is the person, like this person right here. Show Tucker from Alchemist Brotherhood. Oh my God, this guy right here literally almost made me turn this anime off. And this is one of the like first 10 episodes when you meet this dude. He comes off as a nice guy. He got the scientist type of uniform on. You think of him as a fatherly type of person. Then you get throughout the episodes, you realize this man is willing to do anything for money and literally take the humanity away from his daughter, which was fucking horrible. Like, cause
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of the episode, you get to see her play with the main characters and everything and see them kind of get like this sibling type of relationship. Just to see him basically just turn her to a chimera at the end with like no fucks given. Like I needed to do that. I needed to get some results and she was there. Like,
And not
you know
even
what I
just
mean?
any chimera. With a dog. A dog. And not
Right.
just any dog. Their dog, man. Their dog.
Crazy. Like,
Yeah.
cause that scene where you see where they ran up on her and they see her for the first time and you just like heartbroken, like, oh yeah, y'all need to go kill him. Y'all need to go take care of that motherfucker.
It was good that we never saw his ass.
I
He's one of those like you'll never forget him type characters, even though he was only around one episode.
but he leaves an impact. That's how you
Yeah.
know, like great authors right there being able to really take you to a new place.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. You know a villain's doing good if everybody hating on him. Well, I remember Naraku had me stand up. Naraku had my ass stand up. I was like, oh, I don't know if we can curse, but I was like,
You
get him,
can.
Inuyasha. Get his ass, Inuyasha. I was mad as hell when he did that. He Majin Buu'd Kohaku. Whoo! I was like, that's it. Gloves off. It's mask off. Like, let's go, baby. I was done with Naraku. And I think everyone felt the same about Sho. Because that man ain't have no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
I know when Narako killed Kikyo that it was like, oh, okay, it was over. But I kind of liked it and not liked it because Kikyo for like the longest part of the show was like, yeah, I can handle this motherfucker. Whatever I see him type of shit. She had that energy. So then when he actually came and matched it, I kind of liked it, but I was like, damn, I didn't want to see her go because I just kept feeling like that's where I wanted Kagome to be. like Kagome was just like, she made it at the end of the series, but Kikyo just had that energy. Like, what? I don't give a fuck what type of demon it is. I'm not type of shit. So
yeah. Believe it or not, Kikyo is one of my top favorite characters of all time. And I know that might be a controversial statement because at first she comes across like this, bitter bitch, basically. That's how, like the layman's terms putting it. But I mean, it was more about, what's that saying? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorn. Yeah. And she really went into it like, man, Inuyasha, like, you got me all messed up. And now you're cheating on me with this little hussy. I don't know what y'all talking about. She looked like me. That ain't me. And then you got Naraku. She finds out that he's the one who was playing with her and her man. And she's just like, I can't really trust nobody but myself to try and take care of all this. These little idiots running around like whatever, but I'm going to do what I have to do to take care of my business. And all the while she's going through all this complexity of like, how do I deal with Inuyasha? How do I deal with my love for Inuyasha? I mean, she really had everything against her. She wasn't even alive. She was already dead. And like, man, this is so bad. Y'all called me back. Oh, so yeah, I felt for her, and I do wish that instead of, you always want to wish the best for somebody else, especially if they in plight. But it would have been cool if she had actually tried to confide a little bit more and work with the main character and his crew, or really the main character and her crew, I should say. And instead of just doing her own thing the whole damn time, and it didn't end up ultimately working out for her.
Yeah, I would have loved to see her kind of work with Kagome or have them do like a tag team because they both were supposed to be like saints or something. So that would have been cool to see them work together. Yeah, but for my honorable mention, this was another One Piece one. I chose Akainu. I just feel like he's pretty much the character we want our main character to go fight ever since he killed Ace. So it's just, we definitely want to see this fight. And also his fight with Whitebeard too, because he did kind of do a little bit too much against Whitebeard, but that's just for me. But the Ace one particularly, he definitely need to get that payback for that one.
Oh yeah. That leaves a hole in your heart.
Man, It's just crazy. And the fact that I had to do so much research after that one, because I'm like, is magma hotter than fire? Like, when did this happen? Like, literally, yeah, I was doing but then I figured out, I guess it can be. So I'm like, duh, I guess that's because that was literally the only way that could have happened right there. But I mean, have you ever watched the manga? Read the manga of One Piece?
I have not read the manga all the way through. I have not watched all of One Piece. Most of what I've watched has been in the Wano arc where I had my business. But I've always been very much aware of big plot points, like how Luffy grew to really respect what's his name, Shanks, Ace sacrificing himself. The big motivators for the main characters. I was always pretty aware of that, and how like there's the devil fruits and that kind of stuff. And speaking of which, that crocodile, it looks like you're going to see him again pretty soon.
For Netflix, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the Netflix movie. I thought you were talking about the manga, but yeah, for the Netflix movie, most likely. But for the manga, it's some stuff that's about to happen, and I can't wait to see them kind of introduce Crocodile and his whole little crew he hanging out with, because, he with Mihawk and Buggy. So that would be pretty cool to see what they're up to. One thing you said that I thought was interesting, you said you were doing acting for about 10 years, and you kind of like recently got into voice acting. So what kind of movies and stuff were you doing beforehand, like type of acting?
So when the very first professional job I had, and that, kind of depends on your term of professional, but the very first one that I had in my eyes was a commercial. I ended up being in this commercial, and it was the first audition I had ever done too. Back then you could find an audition on like Craigslist, and that's where I found that one. I went in there. Oh yeah, I had just finished my associates. It was a theater arts associates. Now all I knew is that I wanted to act. So I made my resume, sent it in with a headshot that I had at the time. Did my audition. The producer loved it, and he said, "Yeah, you got it." And then after we shot that thing, he said, "Hey man, you're the only one that don't have an agent. Do you want one?" I said, "Hell yeah." So he made up this list of all the agents that they reach out to. I ended up submitting to this one particular one. Met with them, they signed me, and the rest was history. I was going to commercial auditions a lot, movie and television auditions, and some of them I would get, a lot of them I wouldn't. So it was a nice eye-opener from there as well, because I kind of thought, oh, okay, I did this very first one. I got it, man. I must know what I'm doing.
Keep getting them. You know what I mean? I feel that.
It was an awakening, that's for sure. But man, I might be missing the rest of your question. Remind me right fast.
Basically, I was just trying to figure out what you were doing before before you became a voice actor.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, along the way, like folks would always say, like, hey, you got the voice, you should be voice acting. But my focus, because when you're young, you have your goal and you're sticking to it. Yeah. My focus was on camera acting. And I was doing my thing. And then one movie I was on with this cool dude, Rogelio Salinas. I hope I'm getting this last name right. But Rogelio, he made this film called Waiting for the Storm. And it's now been redubbed Strangers at the Door, I think. But the sound engineer on set, he had his own studio. He liked my voice, and he said, hey, man, like, I don't know if you voice act or not, but I have this job for you. If you do, you down? I said, yeah, man. So went over to his studio later on, learned a lot, did the job. And I mean, that was my first professional voice acting job back in like 2014 or 15, I think.
Was it for a show?
It was for Gray Line Tours. So some kind of tour line, and I did various characters on there. And so whenever people go on this tour, like whether it's on a bus or whatever, they'll hear myself and the other actors and actresses who contributed to that project. But
okay, that's pretty cool.
My man Gary, he was the one that gave me that very first job, and he really was pretty supportive of me during my voice acting formative years, I guess. I was always interested in like just dubbing this and that. So I would practice wherever I could and try to just involve some of my friends if they was interested. And yeah, that was kind of how it went.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Appreciate you, dog.
So basically, it took someone kind of reaching out to you to kind of step into voice acting and kind of seeing how it was.
Yeah, because I had just like touched on it, then touched on it. I was interested in it, but I wasn't really like getting the guidance that I could have used so much back then. He was really the only one that kind of sat down with me and taught me like all the different elements of his job and what I should expect in my position.
Okay. I feel like going. Yeah. Oh, sorry. We still going?
I was just gonna say that after that I went on to take more classes from other folks who were also very helpful. Of course. Yeah. What were you saying?
I would say doing these interviews, one thing that seems common is networking, how important it is to network and meet new people and stuff like that. So I feel like your story basically contributes to that idea. So just want anybody that's out there listening to know that it's important to network, meet new people, and be able to talk to people and stuff like that, and how important that is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that goes basically with any kind of industry, especially these days. People want to know that they can depend on you. They want to know that you're easy to work with, that you'll get along with everyone around you. And they want to kind of understand who you are, like what makes you tick. I guess, if you consider how you've met your friends, who you get along with at work or school, it's kind of the same thing. We're always trying to feel out how everyone around us is operating and make our decisions from there. You never know who might just say, hey, I got something for you, or I have this info, or let me connect you with such and such or so and so.
Yeah, because that's all the game is, especially with voice acting, I hear, because it's hard to really get in there unless you really know people.
Yeah, and it's great when you have a presence that they can go ahead and tap into even before making an introduction. If someone can look you up and they say, oh, okay, let's check out what they got, and they like it, that's a big deal too.
Before we get started with the questions, I just kind of want to get started with our quirks discussion, basically talking about My Hero and everything. Before we get into that, I just kind of wanted to ask you, have you been watching the new season?
Yeah. So I've been into My Hero Academia, man.
Okay.
And yeah, man, My Hero it's got something for everybody. And right now, I'm rewatching it with my girl because I got her introduced to anime. And I find that my recommendations, I mean, shoot, I just know what I'm doing. So we worked our way into Shonen, and we on My Hero Academia, and she loves it. But of course, I've been watching the latest season. I've been watching it in English because that's how I've always watched it. And I think the latest episode may have dropped like today or yesterday. So I'm about to check that one out. The latest English episode, I should say.
Okay. So yeah, you're a little bit further behind than me because I usually watch whatever new episode come out. So if especially when new stuff are coming out, it's usually always in Japanese. Then the English dub come out after it. But every time something's new and I really want to watch it, I'm just gonna watch it in Japanese. Subtitles don't bother me that much to like certain extents because I know some people like it's no point even watching it. It's like it's not even in my language, and why do I read? I'm like, what's the point? Like to me, at the end of the day, it's native. Like this is what it really is. We're the ones that's taking it and making it work for us. You know what I mean? So I might as well watch it at its realist because I always like to know exactly what they're saying and what the author intended because sometimes we change it up just to make it work for us or meet our criteria to make it through our censorship and type shit. You know what I mean?
I feel you. And whenever something is getting localized, there's a lot of process that goes into that. So I'm always interested to understand what drives people to say, well, I only enjoy this way or I only enjoy that way or I enjoy both or none at all. For me, I mean, whether I'm watching subs or dubs, it's what's available and am I eating or not? Because if I'm watching some subs, I'm on to be like, oh, I just gotta rewind again. Like, nah, I'm gonna watch it in English if I'm eating. And if it ain't available in English while I'm eating, I watch something else. Save it for later. If I feel like I'm down to watch some subs, I watch some subs. If I can't wait, I watch some subs. It's all enjoyable. It's all love. But what I want to touch on real quick, because we brought it up, if you don't mind, is localization. There's translations, and getting a translation from Japanese to English 1-to-1 is you're looking at like Let's Fighting Love from South Park. You remember that episode where they was your 1-to-1 translation ain't gonna match exactly. And then even forward from there, you're slightly localizing it so it's like grammatically correct and all that good stuff. And then as far as anime is concerned, whenever you're going towards an English dub, you have to create the localized script, which needs to match the flaps that are on the screen. And then the actor finally delivers it along with the guidance of the director and the help of the sound engineer that's putting it all together for us. When it comes to subtitles, like I mentioned before, we got to mind the gap. Like you got your translation, and that 1-to-1 isn't really going to do you much good. So you have to just localize it a bit so the subtitles are enjoyable and understandable to your target audience, which in our case is a North American English-speaking audience. So really, even whether you're watching something dubbed or subbed, you're still getting a localized experience. Unless you understand Japanese and the modern culture, or at least the culture that matches the particular title you're watching, you're always going to get some form of localization. I think one of my favorite examples of that is from Cells at Work, because I don't remember what version of subs I was watching. I know there was official though, but there was a point in time where the characters would be like dealing with a cancer cell or someone, and they would go like, "What the cell?" It's a play on words. What the hell? What the cell? That ain't Japanese, baby. That's something that was inserted. And I was watching the subs. I was like, there ain't no way that's what they just said. I would have at least heard something, and even there'd be other times when, like, there are certain words like arigato, ohayo, mushi mushi, or when you call someone the older brother, what is that? What Oni, like Oni-chan or whatever. Like there are times when you'll hear words like that, and then the subtitles will say like completely different things. Like they say, "Hey, what's up, big bro?" But instead they're saying, "Hey, what's up?" and it has the character's actual name in there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's always that element of localization, and you just got to mind the gap of what it is you're trying to enjoy. I think the kind of like sub-dub argument in most cases is kind of like, well, you're both kind of enjoying the same thing one way or the other.
True. I always tell people there's no point to even argue about it. At the end of the day, as long as you like what you like, you're going to like it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
My main thing, because I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, and I listen, but when I watch it, I like to watch it in its older dub. I don't know if it's the Ocean dub, but it's not the newest dub that come out. But every time I like go and I'm just searching it and I do hear the newest dub, I always turn it off. I'm like, I don't like this. I like the whole feel. I like hearing Goku call him the hope of the universe, even though that's bullshit. But I love that dub version of the whole thing. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. That Dragon Ball Z has, well, even it's just Dragon Ball in general has a lot of various dubs. Like the original dub that we watched in the 90s on Toonami was the Ocean dub for the Saiyan Saga and the Namek Saga. The Namek Saga being like from the point where they leave Earth to the point where they fight Goldo, I think. That was mainly the Ocean dub that we would listen to on TV. And then afterwards, Funimation did that in-house dub. And from then on, at least in the States, what we were hit with was the Funimation in-house dubs, because you had the original, you got Kai, you got when they dubbed the Saiyan Saga again with, you know, the cast as we know them today. But at the same time, or really afterwards, you know, whatever the timeline happened to be, the Ocean dub folks went ahead and continued Dragon Ball Z in Canada, and they distributed it whichever way they felt best. So we have so many different dubs, and they all have similarities, they have differences, but they're all enjoyable somehow or some way, and some of them have a nostalgic feel for you and me, whereas they might a completely different dub might have a nostalgic feel for somebody else. And I don't mean nostalgia in any way that is negative. I just know that that's an element of why I enjoy DBZ. Just like you, probably.
Feel that. Now getting back to our likes for My Hero, talking about our favorite quirks and stuff. So basically we're going to go 1 through 3. I don't have mine in no particular order. These are my 3 favorites, so I don't need anybody like, why'd you pick that one over this? There's no particular order to these, so I'm just letting that be known up front. I'm going to let my guest go first.
Okay, we going like 1, 2, 3, or like 1, 1?
Starting at 3. And then going up.
3 going up? Oh, man, you got me, bro. You got me. I know what my number 1 is.
Oh, if you want to go 1, we can do 1, then go down so you can get a little time to think. Okay. Let's go 1 to 3.
So when this character got introduced, I was like, her right there. That one. She's going to be somebody that could take on All For One. She could help whoop that ass. Like, I was okay. This is someone I want to see. All right. And before I say it, before I spill these beans, who you think it is?
It's the girl that looked like All Might. I can never, from North America. Is that what you're talking about?
Almost, baby. Almost.
Okay. This is a good one.
So this person could incapacitate anyone just by talking with them. And notice I said her or she earlier, so it ain't Shinso. I'm talking about legendary Miss Joke, baby. She could make anyone just start busting ribs and then whoop some ass.
True. I didn't even think about her.
I was like, man, she just walk up to someone, start talking, pull a prank on them, and that's it. Game. I thought that she was so cool, man. So I was really hoping to see more of Miss Joke. My friends, my girl, they'll tell you that I'm always like messing with them somehow. So I just really adored Miss Joke, and her quirk I think is called Outburst. So that's my top favorite.
I like that pick because that is a unilateral pick. You wouldn't normally pick that person, but if we're talking about somebody that could actually take out somebody big and not have a quirk that's so flashy or destructive, yeah, that's a possible way to do it. So I like that pick. It kind of going with my number 1, low key, because this is a person I thought had an amazing ability. And when we seen it being done to the few people that he's actually able to use it on, it's fucking pretty gangster and almost broken low key. Actually, it's 2 people like that, and the other person I didn't put on here because now I'm a little bit mad. But but the person that I want to talk about is basically I'm gonna mess up his first name, I know it, but Nito. He basically has the copy quirk. I thought this quirk was fucking amazing when you basically see it in the beginning. I hate that it does have those like certain things that make it not unbeatable. So like certain quirks he can't copy because if he has to, like, I think it's something to do with the energy from the quirk is made within the body, he can't do that type of shit because he doesn't have that ability within him or something he was saying. Because he can't like copy Midoriya's quirk and someone else. I think who was it? He can do Kanchan. He can't do Todoroki's, I think. Okay. Those 2 people. So basically I think his ability is pretty nice. And the fact that we're seeing it kind of being helpful right now to take down All For One and Todoroki. Is it Todoroki? The main Shigaraki. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. When he showed up, I thought, okay, he's kind of broke. He's kind of broke right there. But as time went on in the series, I thought, okay, they're showing how they may have these cool quirks that are flashy and useful, but it's how they use them and like their understanding of them. kind of like when Ginyu body snatched Goku, and then he was like, okay, yeah, I got it now, but then he didn't know how to Kaioken. He didn't know how to Kamehameha. He didn't know nothing, and he had to figure it out on the fly. And then as he was doing that, that's when like the other warriors were like, oh, this is something we have to deal with right now. So I think maybe the same with him. His copy quirk itself is OP, but it can't get everything, and he's got to have kind of this understanding of how he's going to use the quirk that he's about to copy bust.
So that's low key. I had to give him props because I just feel like every time you see him he's just always like eye catching and everything. But after a while, you do understand why he's in 1B and not 1A. You know what I mean? He'd be like, okay, I could kind of see. But moving on to your number two, who would your number two be?
Let's see. Man, I really want to say, and it's not because you brought her up. This is just how I view her quirk, is Star and Stripes quirk.
Star and Stripes, okay.
Hers was just this OP ability that I thought still required some complexity as well. So I really loved her New Order quirk. Plus, I mean, in the show, that's my girl. That's my girl. So I really enjoyed hers. You could do a lot with something like that. I don't think anyone could really be messing with you unless they Shigaraki and All For One combined.
Yeah, when you see her use it against Shigaraki, and when she was like, "Don't breathe or die," I forgot what exactly she said, and like the only reason why it didn't work is because he didn't see himself as Shigaraki at that moment. Man, when she did that, I was like, okay, this ability low key is killer. Like, so when I was thinking, like, if he actually could take that ability from her, what he could have done with that, bro, my hero would have been over, bro. It was nothing I would have been able to do. So I do like the fact that I don't like the fact that she died so quickly, because I was like, damn, you coming from a whole nother country, all this extra stuff. You think she about to be like the main focus of this whole season, but she's like just maybe the first few episodes. And I always felt like if I was the United States of America, I would be so pissed off there, because I'd be like, you just, our number one hero is gone to help y'all out for some bullshit. Like, that would have been super angry about that. But I do like the fact that the last order she did pit on was able to kind of weaken Shigaraki at that point, because it took someone to kind of explain it to me. Because they was like, if you think about it, if she didn't do that, they probably wouldn't even have been beat that version of Shigaraki, because he was low key OP as fuck at that point. So the fact that she was able to take out like at least a few of his quirks like that was pretty good. And I guess you gotta give it up for that sacrifice right there. But
oh yeah. And you introduce a character like that, you think, all right, it's game over, right? But you still got the rest of this story to go.
Yeah.
You still got this whole, I mean, someone it's going to have to get set up. So somehow the main character or somebody is able to defeat this guy in a super climactic moment. And if she just showed up and said, you can't breathe. And that's it. It's like, okay, well, I guess we're done. It doesn't tell the story too well. So to kind of set the stakes that high, and then still it doesn't work. It's like, who is going to beat this man? So that's why I really liked it. I was like, she can't be the one that wins. But man, this is going to be good. This is going to be entertaining. This is going to really push the story forward. Now, I was not expecting, because again, I just watched the anime, and then I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but then I read the manga afterwards, just because the anime was the first way that I got into it, and that's how I want to enjoy it. So I had no idea that was going to happen whatsoever, and it just it really touched my heart. I thought it was just a well executed story, a nice chapter in this whole saga of sagas.
Man, I definitely need to go back and kind of listen to it in the dub version and see if it still get that same impact. Because when I was watching it in Japanese, it was hitting, because I was like, God dang. Because everybody hope was on her for a second. It was like, oh, she might be able to take him out. Like, we need her, because if she can't do it, because all the rest of because when I think about my hero, and I always think about it because sometimes I like to power scale different universes and stuff. I always pick my hero as like maybe on the bottom tier list of like power wise. I mean, not a lot of people you can take from this show and put them in another show they're gonna be OP in. So kind of just to see like that, it just was like, man, like I would have loved to see a little bit more from her, and for her to kind of get a little bit more of a win in that situation, but to kind of just have to go, man.
The U.S. was feeling it too. We saw him again when Commander Akbar, he was getting he was having that conversation with like the president or somebody, and saying like, hey, because I think whoever it was he was talking to in the United States was like, we better just get ready to have to like deal with All for One. Like Japan is gonna lose. He's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, we have to actually stand up to this. If we don't do nothing, if we don't continue to go up against them, like who is? And he's like, we done. We lost Star and Stripe. Ain't nobody else about to do nothing about this. They're just scared. Like, so
I ain't heard nothing from All Might. Who else about to say was you got the number to Jesus? Like, you get down to that point. But I can feel it, because I mean sometimes you gotta have that realism there in that moment. It's like, okay, say you do come here, right? So what are we gonna send at them? Our tanks? Our rockets? Is that what we gonna shoot them down?
We don't have nukes over there. We sent the bombs, and still we hit them with what, like, I don't know, a whole handful of cruise missiles.
I think the one person that really get him is All for One. Him coming back from like his body being destroyed and like coming back younger and younger and younger. That'd be enough to be like, okay, you know what? Let's just pack it up. Actually, you just want to take over the shit. Like this done.
Like we're not doing this Akira stuff, man. Like let's just you got it. You got it. How many states you need? We go ahead and rock them off on the map right now.
Because there's no point. We just destroying stuff for nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
So we find out. We'll find out exactly how this story goes. I know that the manga, of course, is the source and it's much further ahead, but I'm looking forward to watching this show.
Yes. Yeah. Moving on to my next one.
Yes, sir.
I chose the quirk Dark Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this quirk has always been kind of like a mystery quirk, because sometimes you see it as like super powerful, then sometimes you see it as like not as powerful. It most likely has to do with the shade and how much power of the darkness he has, kind of similar to Shikamaru and his shadow techniques. The more shadows he has, the more powerful his technique can be. And we've seen some of his Dark Shadow creations, because if you are watching the anime, I don't think you've probably seen it yet, but he does create something pretty cool that was actually able to kind of handle All for One for a second. So this quirk is one of those quirks where it's like, it could be super OP. And then I like the fact that he also was able to make it able to help him fly and shit like that. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Dark Shadow is definitely one of those badass quirks that I was like, it could be on my list. It's every time it shows up in like its super monster form, you know, it's not something you want to mess with whatsoever.
Okay.
And then it just has that one little weakness, and that's it. That one little weakness gives it some serious issues, and that's it. But the way the character is with Dark Shadow, I always just find that to be super cool. There was a moment back then when he kept saying "revel in the dark," I think, and I just thought that's funny. But I remember when he was doing the training and it just like showed him in the cave or something. And he was just in there. You could hear him screaming like, Dark Shadow, control yourself or whatever. Like, man, this guy, he's got like an out of control teenager and he's just trying his best.
Well, you know, and then when they get rebellious and he can't control it, that's when the moments that be like, damn. But that's when you kind of get to see how strong it can truly be. You know what I mean? Because I think the first time you see it, he does it in the movie. I can't think exactly what movie it was, but you kind of see it kind of take over the whole show. Yes,
Heroes Rising. That and he had that moment of like it's taking over, and man, I thought that was dope. I really loved that moment, man.
And then now that I'm thinking, I'm like, if he didn't have that weakness, he'd literally be in that top 3 of like powerful in the class. You know what I mean? Because you got Kanchan, Deku, and then Todoroki. But if he didn't have that weakness, I could see him low key being in that top 3. You know what I mean?
Him and Yaoyorozu. Yaoyorozu has Creati, the creation quirk, and I know that it's based on like she can make stuff based on her knowledge and like the lipids in her system or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like, man, you get a hold of that quirk. You could be the last woman standing no matter what. In fact, we was just talking about it. So say she gets so good with her quirk that she can make a fighter jet with a nuke. And she know how to apply it. She just go wherever she want. Like a last card. Like this is it. Last ditch effort. I mean, that'd be big. Now, I don't know if it's possible for her to ever do anything like that, but I always thought like if she could get to that point, that's some end game stuff.
Me, I always say if she just worked on her like hand-to-hand combat, got like decent with that to the point where she could take on most people with just her hands, and came up with like a shot that could take people's quirks away. She wouldn't. You couldn't even stand down. You couldn't even stand with her. She'd be like a low-key Batman right there.
Oh,
like that's what I think would be cool. But I always like to see hand-to-hand combat and like sword fighting. So like anytime I pick me in the universe, that's usually I'm like I'd rather just fight these characters hand to hand.
Don't get it though.
Come on now. That'd be the best way, cause especially with a lot of these villains, I'd be like that would be the ultimate way to destroy them. Like they can't fight, but moving on to our third one. What's your third favorite quirk?
So my third one was actually a villain's quirk, and this is Chisaki's quirk. I forgot what it's called, but he can basically like reconstruct, deconstruct anything that he wants and make it into whatever it is that he wants to.
You talking about Overhaul?
Yeah.
Okay.
Man.
That's right. Was nasty.
What did he say? What was it? He was fighting Mario, and Mario kept like yelling his name, and he's like, I said I'm not mad anymore. But Overhaul. His quirk I thought was OP. I thought this is a quirk that they're really gonna have to go further beyond with. And he went as far as he did, but I just thought something like that is next to unbeatable. As soon as you're in his presence, all he has to do is consider anything, and that's it. Say, oh, well, I'll just turn you and everything in this area into mush, and that's it. But he did what he did. I thought he was a really cool ass character. I thought the whole like Yakuza thing was really cool as well. And if that was my quirk, well,
man, it'd be like quirks like that, and then they introduce you a character, and then you'd be like, okay, in the beginning he's like smart using his quirk amazingly. You're like, okay. Then when they get to the point when a character has to beat them, I hate when a person has an OP ability and then the way they beat them is because they use it stupidly in the end. Like if they was using it the same way they were in the beginning, it's like, okay, you would have never even touched this motherfucker. But now it's like it get to the point now, it's like, okay, he forgot that he could do this, that. I never understand that. Like it's low key kind of happening in Boruto, where I'm reading, where they brought back a character and now he has this crazy ability, but then it's like situations that happen, and how can you tell me you have the ability of being able to see the future, and then it seems like you always getting surprised by the future? Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like it's like, well, what's going on? But I don't know. I always thought when Overhaul came on, he should have been a long-lasting villain because his ability was fucking monstrous. Like the things you think he could be able to do with it or be able to take things away from people. Because I always thought, like, could he be able to like take someone's quirk, recreate it, make it stronger, make it weaker? Like that's some shit like we didn't get to really see him do or see him explore. Because I'm like, man, he could have been top dog.
He kept it kind of basic, right? Like he could mess with inanimate objects. He could mess with living people and living things. I mean, imagine him going up against Star and Stripe, and she come in like the air around you is, and he'd be like, "What air?"
You're like, you construct something, make more air. You know what I mean? Some shit like that.
Like all the air around me is orange juice, and she just drowns or something. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, he just had this pocket of air around him. Like, yeah, this air don't count. Like,
yeah. And then a lot of things is like, if he could touch you, you know that battle was over. Okay, so it was like it would have been nice to kind of see that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right.
You got some good ones. I really like yours too.
Moving on to my last one. I'm gonna go ahead with Zoom. I know this one. This is from the class rep. No, this is not from the class rep. This is I forgot who this person is. So but basically this ability basically allows you to basically have binoculars. You can see wherever you want to see, come back, and then looking forward.
Homegirl, Mei Hatsume.
Yep. I like this ability, especially if they just kind of like switched it up a little bit, and especially gave this ability to the girl who has the sniping, turn her arm to like a sniping thing. Yeah. If she had this ability with that, OP as fuck. This is a nice ability to have. I just kind of picked something I thought would be like, if you added something else to it, it'll be OP as fuck. But I think this is a cool ability, especially.
You're right. I always liked Mei Hatsume too as a character. I just thought she was cool and funny. The way she played Ida was awesome when she first showed up, and anytime she shows up afterwards, she does something interesting. So I always liked her. That ability of hers is definitely really useful. And I thought the same about homeboy with the pistols. He was like a sharpshooter. He was in the first season. I was like, man, if he had that, he would just get anybody from anywhere.
This is amazing. And to be able, because I think if I'm reading this correctly, I think she has the ability to see anything clearly from up to like 3 miles away. So that's a nice amount of distance to be able to like, okay, go ahead and snipe this motherfucker out for pain. He gone. But I'm gonna say sniping and kind of seeing where the enemy is and stuff like that. That's kind of only where I could see this quirk going. You couldn't kill nobody with this quirk. Like, you know what I mean? You could keep your eyes on them. Like, they'd be hard for them to like escape, but you wouldn't be able to be like, I'm staring this nigga to death. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you just stare daggers at people.
Man, that would be fucking hilarious. But kind of get into our dislikes, quirks that you're like, I would hate to have that quirk. Man, I don't even see the point of that.
So the ones that really stood out to me as the stuff I wouldn't want, they're kind of niche in the show, and I think they come from the first episode. It ain't Kamui Woods. It definitely ain't Mount Lady, because Mount Lady, she's awesome. But Deku's and Kachan's peers in their classroom, they would be doing stuff like just grabbing their eyeballs and like stretching their fingers and stuff. And I'm like, that's useless to me. Like, why would I want to?
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like, so those quirks are the ones where I'm like, that's so pointless. I would hate to have that as a quirk. I wouldn't even want anybody to know that my quirk was to take my eyeball and do some childish stuff with it. So that's my answer.
That's a good pick, because there's a bunch of those random everyday quirks. You're like, man, if I was those people, I feel like, damn, there's people who can shoot laser beams, can fly, and I can just stretch my fingers out. Like, what kind of bullshit am I on? like I could get the right blessings. For dislikes, for mine, I chose you chose a good pick right there, basically choosing all those worthless quirks. I kind of chose a quirk that we see a lot, but it's just, to me, every time you see it, it's just never really done cool. We've seen this ability being used in like X-Men when the person can only do this, but he can only do it from his eyes. The person I'm choosing has naval laser, and I hate this ability. It just doesn't make like it makes sense, the ability, but it just doesn't ever really do anything. I hate the fact that if he uses it too much, he gets a tummy ache and can't do anything. He's like on the ground. I do like the fact that he came up with ways to make it be able to shoot more places and stuff like that. I'm glad that he came up with that ability. Like, I need to figure out how to make it hit from different directions instead of just in front of me. I'll give him props on that. But other than that, I just think the ability is stupid. I hate the way he got the ability. I hate the fact that it's not even an ability that works with him. Like, low key, he actually has to have the belt and everything just to be able to do the ability. So hate that.
I feel you.
That's basically as much. I don't want to go on a whole rant of why I hate that ability, but basically, yeah. I don't know how you feel about it, but
we see him and it's like, okay, like, when you gonna just Cyclops Ray somebody, like,
you know what I mean?
And he never really does. Like, he has these moments, and granted, boy's hilarious. Like, I love every time I see him and I crack up. He finally got more depth, of course, when we found out what it was with his backstory, and that was that was telling. But I understand completely. I would definitely not want that quirk either. It's kind of niche. Like, you couldn't even use it in everyday life. It's just kind of an annoying thing that even if you do use it, you ruin the rest of your night.
Man, because I don't know. So it's like some people that be in class 1A and then you look at 1B and you're like, you telling me this guy quirk couldn't get him in there? Like, and they couldn't switch places? Because especially brain control or mind control, I always feel like his quirks definitely should be in there. Or even the copy ability should have took over that one. Like, even the dude who got the rubber balls for his hair in that ability, that low key can make my dislike too. Because how the fuck did that beat me? Like, a lot of this I'll need explanations on. Like, you telling me that was able to do better than me in the entrance exam? Like, maybe I'm not a hero.
What's his name? Is his name Manga or like React? Oh yeah,
the dude that be yelling out onomatopoeias and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, he could have taken out that whole test. Like, he could have been done. He could have got the rescue points. I mean, granted, he does it once and he's like, I should have had some tea or something. But he's got a big ass quirk and he was in B, I guess. And not even like, he didn't even like make it up in like the sports festival or nothing. He was just kind of chilling up until Class A fought Class B.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I don't really remember him doing that whole competition or anything.
I think we might have seen him running around, but
he didn't really make use of his ability. Or he probably did, and he just wasn't really focused on him until, Class A, 1B, little trials and stuff.
Yeah, I get you with that. I would not want a tummy tuck laser, whatever you got going on.
Or I'm gonna just throw another one out there. I would hate to have the tail quirk too. I mean, it's a cool ability. I would probably like that a little bit more than naval laser, especially being more of a hand-to-hand combat type of person. But it's just a tail, like you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing more, nothing less. But it's just
I like that character really comes to terms with all of that too.
Yes,
he's like, I may not be Bakugo, but I can do what I do. And his tail is also something that he can use without messing up everything for the rest of the day. It's something that he can use like around the house. Like, oh yeah, I grab that
catch
for
bad guys with it. Like, it ain't useless, but it's still like, damn, people can destroy buildings. People, you know what I mean? It's just like, to me, he has certain villains he can go after. Then it's like, he tears off certain places.
He's street level, and that's about all you're getting out of him.
Cool. But moving on to our interview now, we're going to be asking a few questions, kind of getting to know your career, getting to know more about you as a person and everything. For my first question, I want to ask you, how did you get into voice acting and what inspired you to pursue it as a career?
Let's see. So what inspired me to act initially was, in fact, anime. When I was a kid, of course, I would watch cartoons and play outside and stuff. But one of those days, I just was cruising channels, and I'm pretty sure it was DBZ that I discovered first. I'm pretty sure that was my first anime, and it was deep into the Saiyan saga. So the very first thing I was seeing was, oh man, like this ain't no Looney Tunes. These boys is out to kill each other. So that had me hooked right away. I was just like, this is violent, cool, I'm down. And whenever as I got more into it and start seeing more of these stories and more of these heroes and villains, I just thought it was cool that there could be any story with heroes and villains. And I just wanted to be a part of that. So as me and my friends would go and get into our adventures and shenanigans and stuff, I was always like acting. I would be making these like voices and just making up games for us to play and doing this and that. So that was really what inspired my acting career altogether, was just watching anime and just really feeling it. As for what got me started on my voice acting career, we touched on that a little bit earlier, I think, for show. So and then what got me into voice acting specifically, like in anime, I just really wanted to. And I guess I took courses and classes, workshops, and networked and learned enough that I could apply it to myself and my my living and be available and ready to help produce these shows. I think that's probably kind of a long-winded answer, but basically I just enjoyed anime, I enjoyed acting, and I enjoyed voice acting, and I just wouldn't stop doing it after years and years. So it landed me here, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad that one of your first animes was Dragon Ball Z.
It was one of them, and I'm pretty sure Dragon Ball Z was my very first one, but along the same time I was watching Sailor Moon a lot. I was watching Monster Rancher a lot. I was watching Pokemon a lot. I'm just pretty damn sure DBZ was the very first one. But all of those I really enjoyed. And after those, I think was Ronin Warriors. That one I really enjoyed quite a bit.
Man, you talking about the animes that you mess with, it's kind of making me feel like we're in that same age tier, because them the same animes that I was dealing with. My first one was Dragon Ball Z. I found out, I seen it as a kid, that it was a whole little story that I usually go and say, basically. I found it when I was a kid at my aunt's house. I was watching it on demand, didn't know demand costs, and then my aunt got the bill, got my ass whooped based on it. But it was the first time I ever seen a show like that, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is not your everyday Cartoon Network right now. And I remember having my aunt come in a few times, like, damn, they playing this all day? And I was like, it's a marathon. Like, and I feel like, if I can remember correctly, I was damn near done with the Saiyan arc through that day. I was pretty much from the beginning of Dragon Ball Z about to get into the Namek arc. That's how many episodes, and I was just going back and forth. It was amazing. One also that I used to watch is Pokemon. That took me a long time to really understand that was anime. But once I was like, that's anime, and I was like, anime has to be a whole nother tier of like creation, because the fact that the first Pokemon movie you get is literally talking about segregation and all of that within the whole anime, is like, damn, like they really trying to hit it to you in the beginning of the shit. And then, like, if you really think about it, I'm like, it takes a second to be like, damn. So Mewtwo is Malcolm X right there. So that's the type of energy he giving right now. So I see that. And then I remember I was explaining that to somebody, and they was like, what the fuck? That is what that was about. And I'm like, yeah, take a second to think about that. But yeah, I mean, they had some crazy messages within the stories and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. And we had some really good examples of that contrast between Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Because we had Pokemon, the first movie, and we had we had X-Men.
True.
X-Men, man, like now you can get the message, but it's probably later on in life that you start to create parallels as well. So I always really appreciate whenever there's something wholehearted inserted into any story, something that's a theme that you can really take away, or a moral of the story you can really take away. And thankfully, when it comes to anime and cartoons and movies, TV series, etc., usually there's more than one within all the episodes, chapters, etc., that someone's going to be able to reflect on and go, hey, this is now something that I've learned from, and I'll take it with me wherever I go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people out there, you probably need to look back on all your favorite anime movies and shows and think back, like, what was they really trying to show me? What was they trying to tell me through this? Because a lot of y'all be surprised. You'd be like, God dang. It shows you that, the Japanese culture has a lot of Western things that they like and elements in their story. So that's pretty
Absolutely.
cool.
Absolutely.
Moving on to my next question. I think you kind of answered a little bit of this. Basically, were you an anime fan when you were younger, and when anime got you kind of interested? You kind of told us Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon like that and stuff like that. But are there any more anime that kind of sparked your interest during this time period or right now that you feel like that's keeping you focused on being a voice actor, or you see this and you're like, okay, this is why I do this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Oh man, so there was definitely plenty of anime that I enjoyed back in the day because the Toonami block or the Toonami run and Adult Swim, like they was giving me every piece of media that I would enjoy. And then there was other things on like Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network that I was really enjoying as well. But anime is one that left a significant impact. Shows like Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin. Whew. Like, man,
Exactly.
That stuff really always hit home for me. And then there was a period afterwards when I stopped watching a lot of anime because I had a lot of things going on in my life. And once Dragon Ball Z came to a close, I was like, all right, well, I guess I don't have a reason to run home from school as fast as I can no more because it's over. I guess that just shows how much I loved it. But, man, I think it was like 2013 or 14. Someone I knew said, hey, you need to watch Attack on Titan. And I was like, looking at it like, well, it looks kind of weird. I'd seen it like advertised before. I was like, yeah, it kind of seems interesting, but I don't know. It seems kind of weird too. And then this person was like, I know you. Watch it. So I decided to sit down one night. That was a marathon right there. Good thing it was streaming, man. They was right. That really got me reinterested. Yeah. So I started watching that. Speaking of like political shit, Akame ga Kill. That anime, like, that wowed me. I thought, oh my God, like this is it was like getting that whole surprise all over again. Because back then I'd watch DBZ, I'd go like, oh man, like they got out to kill each other. I watch Attack on Titan, Akame ga Kill. I'm like, man, all these fools is out to die. Like that's, I was so hooked. It was Attack on Titan, Akame ga Kill, Steins Gate. Oh man, one of them's trying to escape my memory right now. Those must have been the big three for me in that year. But anime like that, Fairy Tail. I got into Fairy Tail as well. Anime like that kind of brought me into the fold again, and I realized there was a whole lot more to enjoy and appreciate. In fact, I think after those ones, I started watching Blood Sea, and I was like, man, this is way different. Blood Sea, Parasite, The Maxim, man, they was all just getting me hooked over and over and over again. So ever since then, I've been trying to enjoy as much as I can.
Sure, for sure. Those are some nice picks. Attack on Titans, I remember when that anime came out, and the first episode you kind of see like the main character die, and I remember that whole moment. I'm sitting there like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, was we just following some random character? Is somebody else about to come? So I like the fact that you kind of get that like whole surprise, because that was the first time I've ever seen that kind of be done in the anime. Like we just gonna get rid of this character for a little bit and then see who else y'all can latch on to. But seeing them come back and everything, and seeing the whole story of how it progressed, is crazy. I do think the character development in that show is something to really watch out for, because it really show you how a person can start out this way and these events can happen and can make them this way. You know what I mean? It's also, it goes back into like nurture versus nature, the way you kind of like pit stuff around somebody and how that can affect their environment and stuff like that. So That was pretty good. Kami got killed. I think that was one of the few animes where I was saying like, damn, nobody's safe in this anime. Like, the whole team damn near dying. Like, in my opinion, I remember I was thinking like, if I was on that team, my low key would be like, I need to get up out of here. Yeah, like, I know we fighting for the right thing, but damn,
so, like,
nobody surviving their fights.
I'm gonna go find a rock somewhere. Hope Esteth can't find me. But y'all, good luck, y'all.
I understand the fight, but I'm not for the fight too much.
And
so
you need to read that manga, man. If you haven't read that Akame ga Kill manga,
I'm definitely got to check it out.
You take the first half of Akame ga Kill, that's the anime. You get the last half of that manga, it's a whole different thing. Like, I really want to see that get reanimated. Just that last half. Like, the anime itself, love it. I thought the ending was so purposeful. But if I got it right, it seemed that maybe the creator had to supply the studio with like an outline, and then they made the anime from there, and then he continued the manga and finished it like years later. So that final battle that they had with Esdeath, oh my god, I felt like that could have been the greatest battle in anime history for some time. And I still think it could be up there if they just animate it, if they reanimate it.
Definitely. I'm gonna have to read that and see how that went.
Dude, let me know. Hit me up. You know how to reach me. Hit me up and tell me, hey man, like, you got any more recommendations? Because this shit was lit.
Well done. Well, my third question, basically, as of right now, which vocal performance do you consider your best? Which one do you be like, hey, y'all need to watch me on this, the one you brag your friends about? Or the one you try to be quiet, be like, who do you think that is?
Oh man, I appreciate you. So I'll tell you like this. I have a favorite. Right now, and it's not that I don't love all the stuff I've done, because I really do. But this particular scene was thanks to Caitlin Glass. It's Horimiya the Missing Pieces, and I voiced Takeru Sengoku. In fact, Caitlin was the one who taught me about proper pronunciation when it comes to Japanese proper nouns or names. So I'm very grateful to that. Grateful for that, I should say. That particular scene, I got to play across from Bill freaking Butts. Now, Bill Butts is another African-American talent. He's out in Los Angeles doing his thing. And me and my buds, we had been checking out his career. And we just thought, man, like, this dude's awesome. So I really made it a goal, or like a hope, that I would one day get to do something, work with him in some kind of capacity. And it came much sooner than I thought. When we did that first episode with Takeru Sengoku, Caitlin let me know, hey, like, the other guy that you're playing across from is voiced by Bill Butts. I just thought, hell yeah, like, can't believe it. And the scene turned out so hilarious and so just like perfect contrast, a nice polarization there. Like, I always loved it. And I thought that was my favorite work. However, even though it's my favorite, doesn't necessarily make it
your best.
My best. I personally think, like, yeah, I love it. But a lot of folks lately told me that the Ethan Drive character in My Hero Academia was one of my best performances. And I could understand that completely. The way I approached that character was as a dad. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm an adopted dad. I've got an adopted daughter, and she's very precious to me. So when I was delivering my lines, I was using substitution method, and it was as if Star and Stripe was my daughter. And that second episode where, you know, Star and Stripe falls, and he kind of like gives her tribute. He's like, hey, you know, you were always trying to be the best. You were always trying to be the next All Might, the next symbol of peace. And you did it. And for me, it was kind of like talking to my kid as if she had gone through something harsh. and saying like, look, you're an Ofebu now. Like you are like one of the best Ofebus. And that's because I said so. I believe it. So I always felt like not only was that one of my best performances, but one of the ones that really touched my heart the most too. And then folks said they really liked it. So I'm happy about that.
I mean, that was a pretty dope scene. I haven't seen the English dub of that scene, so I feel a little bad not being able to be like, oh, you did amazing there. But I seen the Japanese. I will say that that whole comparison that you made right there, basically saying that you felt like your daughter in that situation, that's pretty cool. I'm glad you were able to kind of bring that emotion into the actual scene. Only thing that I thought about, like that whole situation when they was talking to Stars and Stripes, it's like they always kind of was like, you were the best, you were great, but you just couldn't. You just wasn't All Might. You know what I mean? Like she can make herself stronger, but she couldn't make herself as strong as All Might. She couldn't like. I just felt like, dang, I wish she could have been able to break that barrier at some point. But I do like her as a character. I do like how she went out, and I do like they was able to give her that tribute at the end because she kind of needed that, like that moment right there, type of thing.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. It was pure My Hero Academia.
Most
and yeah, I hope you enjoy the English dub, man. We really put a lot into that, and that's Natalie Van Sistine. I hope I said that name right. She's a great performer, and I believe she's also Yor in Spy Family. And this season of My Hero is the first one that isn't directed by Colleen Clinkenbeard. I hope I said that right. Colleen Clinkenbeard.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I got that right. I'm like, here it is. How the other side lives. Ofoegbu.
And when he don't get asked for the next season, don't blame it on me. Don't say I had anything to do with it. Like,
I'm very grateful to be able to be a part of it because I've always been enjoying it after starting it. Man, I think I started watching it in like 2017 after like a couple seasons had been out.
Oh, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
Has there been an anime that you loved as a kid that you actually got to be a part of?
Oh, man. Well,
not yet.
Nothing like that. I mean, they done, basically. Some of them coming back. We'll see.
Is anyone that I fuck with still running? Like,
I mean, there's been stuff that I've enjoyed, like My Hero, Fairy Tail. I wasn't counting on being part of Fairy Tail, but then 100 Years Quest started, and sure enough, here I am.
That's
let's
one
see.
on the list.
There's another one. Oh, how could I forget? Hell's Paradise. So Hell's Paradise.
Amazing.
I was reading that manga. So my buddy, one of my closest brothers, he got me volume 1 for my birthday, because that's how we do. For his birthday, I get him manga. For my birthday, he gets me manga. And he's always been like spot on. He knows what I love, and he got me Hell's Paradise. Read volumes 1, 2, and I said, this is about to be my manga right here. So anytime a new one came out, I was ready. Like every 2-3 months, I was getting the new one, man. And then I saw that they got greenlit for the anime, and I thought, man, like what a world! I get to watch Hell's Paradise because this is my top favorite manga, man. And then I was booking more anime. I got that email, said Hell's Paradise on it. I thought, oh, what you mean? What you mean, man? And I got to voice Twisted K, and damn, like I just thought that was really damn cool. So it may not have been something from my childhood, but it was something that I truly, truly enjoyed with all my heart. And yeah, I'm always grateful.
Bradley.
Oh yeah, I know Bradley.
Yeah, I interviewed him too from that anime, and I think I seen a video. Did y'all do an interview together?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I seen that because I brought that up on his thing, and then when you said that, it just clicked for me that you're the other person that was on that interview talking about that anime. Were you the one that introduced it to him?
Oh yeah, I was. I introduced that to Bradley. I introduced it to Devon Oliver. I introduced it to a few folks, and they all was about it. They was like, man, this is really good. Can I get the rest of them involved? And thankfully, they've introduced me to some really cool stuff too, man. But yeah, Hell's Paradise, baby. I'm always grateful to be a part of that. And thankfully, I had worked with Mike on Chainsaw Man previously, so I guess maybe that could have contributed to him becoming more aware of me and being on his mind for considering who could voice Twisted Kaiju. And when we went in for that, he said, I want a real low, gravelly voice. And I gave him exactly what he asked for.
That's pretty cool to just kind of get into an anime and then able to actually voice in that anime and be like, I actually know what's going on. Like, ain't no problem. And then one thing I will say, the vibe that you give off is more like a friendship. I would say that most people, I don't really hear them talk about like how many other voice actors they contact, talk, play games with and stuff like that. So I'll say that's pretty interesting to think that it's like a whole friendship, brotherhood type of thing going on.
Oh yeah. Thank you, man. In fact, we went to a voice acting meetup that one of the talents organizes, Dusty. And I was telling folks like, it's not every kind of industry or organization where everyone is this like close knit. And maybe it's not like everybody, but we have a nice substantial community of folks, not just like a group, like a whole ass community. And we always have each other's backs, always lifting each other up, and always making sure that we can help each other grow, be safe, and just congratulate people and live. So I'm always grateful for that. And Bradley's, he's probably my closest friend out here. He's cool. He's always been down since day one.
Oh, that's pretty dope. Moving on to my next question. I see that you played a character in One Piece. And I'm surprised you didn't say that was one of your best performances. I thought that was pretty cool. I give you props on that one. How was that experience? And also, you got to play in another animated anime that I liked called Death Mount Death Play. That was pretty good. I basically just wanted to know what was your experience playing on both of these, and how did you get it? How you get the job?
Okay, cool. Well, man, Omasaw was working mainly with Anthony Bowling. We also had sessions with Emily Fajardo. And I believe Emily Fajardo is the director for the current season as well. But when I got the email for Omasaw, I was just really happy about that. Like I said, I haven't seen all of One Piece or read all of One Piece, but I've always been aware of it and thought like this is a nice show. I was grateful for Omasaw because it was always fun to go in there and just kind of be this big burly dude. And he's pretty damn straightforward. He's kind of like, hey, I'm the boss and I got my buddies' backs and that's how we do things, baby. That's it. He was like that big dude you could always depend on to kind of try to get things done. And he was someone that I got to basically voice every week, along with so many other bit characters in that show. I haven't watched all of Wano yet, but I know there's a bunch of like soldiers and like creatures and stuff that like I haven't seen yet. I just know that I am them.
That's funny.
So it was always fun to go in and Anthony Bowling would be like, oh, Masaw. And I'm like, hell yeah, baby, let's do it. Jose Sandoval was always real damn cool. I think it was usually Jose that was in the engineer seat. Of course, One Piece is something that was getting past. Everyone was working on One Piece. I kind of had this. It kind of seemed like if you're there and you're working, then you're going to help get One Piece taken care of because there's so much One Piece content. There's so many characters. There's so many bits. There's so many episodes. Like it was something that everyone had. It was all hands on deck. So I was very glad that Omasaw gave me the ability to go in there and do my thing pretty much every week for a while. And he was fun. He was fun and funny. Every once in a while, we would have to come up with a new line, and Anthony would ask, like, "Is this something you think he would say?" And we would all kind of agree on whether or not we found it entertaining or not and go from there. Just a lot of fun times. I think there's one line. I need to see if I can find it. Oh, I'm blanking on what it was he even said, but it was hilarious, and we kind of came up with it on the fly. You said that you enjoyed the performance. Was there any hilarious one-liner that you remember from Omasaw that sticks out? And if not, it's okay because there's so much insanity in One Piece. But
Not that it's been a little minute since I watched that particular part with him in there that I can't remember exactly. Like the main person I can like think of, like when I think Wano, and it's no disrespect, it's mainly like Queen,
Major
Kaido, and
Attaway,
stuff.
baby.
The voice actor for Queen, he did amazing.
Hell yeah.
He knocked that one out of the park. Especially the little song sing they did. I was like, okay, he embodies this role. Then like Kaido, Luffy has always been amazing voice. Like whoever voices Luffy is just amazing.
That's Colleen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly, man.
No, you're good. I think the scene might have been when that dude with the fire arms, like he has like wings or something, he was helping everyone kind of get right because they were turning into Onis. So he would heat them up and they'll be like, oh, okay, cool, like I'm back. And at some point in time right after that, Omasaw had like this one-liner that was just some humorous crap. Not crap, but it was just funny as hell. But if I can remember what episode that was, I'll go back and check it out and be like, okay, yeah, that was that line that we came up with. It's shame on me for not remembering exactly what he said, but if you do review it, like let me know.
I'll try to leave episode number at the bottom, get the people who listeners can see.
Appreciate. And then Dead Mount Deathplay. Ooh, Dead Mount Deathplay was something else. Went into episode 1 knowing that I was going to be a character called the Corpse God. And I didn't know if this was like another kind of like character that gets the main character over. Kind of, I call them Nappa characters. Like they're the guys who are big and like, they're like, oh, like how could some little dude beat this big old thing or bully or whatever. I was kind of anticipating it being like that, but it turned out that, you know, he did what he did. He kind of like isekai'd himself.
Yeah.
And the Corpse God has always been one of my favorites because he's kind of like they kind of got like this Yugi thing going on where there's the Pharaoh and there's Yugimoto. And whenever things get serious, it's like the Pharaoh comes out. Whenever things get serious in Dead Mount, it's like the Corpse God kind of makes a little appearance. The cool technicality with that is that we basically share Polka and the Corpse God. The other talent is Morganberry. They're super talented. They're in My Hero as well as 13, the Rescue. And it kind of depends on who would go in first to kind of lay the groundwork for some of our lines, because a lot of them are shared. And so there'll be sometimes if I decide to peek ahead, I go like, oh, I hope I go in first for that. Or if Morgan went in, I do the repeat after them. And it's kind of like you have some wiggle room, but really they've already laid the foundation for like how this tempo is going to work out, etc. But the Corpse God himself, I thought to be really cool because he always has like this perfect yin yang going on, at least from my point of view, of he's done everything possible to try and achieve a peaceful life. So much so that they call him a god, or like, you know, maybe they call him the devil, but he's omnipotent in a way. But he still has this humility of, yeah, I may be this big bad, but I'm still just down here. I'm still just down here with y'all. I found that kind of complexity, that struggle to maintain like this balance, or really just like a wholehearted acceptance of that balance, to be very cool. For someone like that to be so humble about his own existence, I thought was just very about as real as it gets. So I've always really liked the Corpse God for that reason. I'd really love to see some more content of Dead Mount Deathplay, so we could go back and make some more episodes happen.
Pretty sure. That anime was pretty good. I don't know if I put it in the whole isekai. I guess it is technically a isekai because I mean he does get sent to a whole new world and everything. I just thought
Mm,
the anime was pretty cool. I like seeing like the differences of his mindset. Like there was a scene when he was talking about like kids and toys and stuff like that, and then you get to see the difference of his mindset versus how we think versus how he thinks and stuff like that. And
mm,
then you kind of realize like, okay, he's not evil. You know what I mean? He just has a different thought process on what's important and stuff like that. So I do
mm.
like that, and I do like the fact that I mean one of the first things you do see him do is save some kids. Like he was willing to kill the girl, but once he heard like those kids was in danger, his whole mindset stopped. He like, what? Where they at? Let's go protect them. You know what I mean? So I do like
Yes.
seeing that different type of mindset and things.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, to him, like kids are just they're precious. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They're, if I may, even untainted. So to defile that to him is like a really poor sin. And he has this really nice line in the dub. Only an immature being such as I would toy with lives out of emotion. And I thought, man, like that just embodies everything about this guy. Like he thinks for sure, like he's the bee's knees. And at the same time, he's right down to earth with everyone else. He's not special. It's that interesting contrast that he has. It's almost like self-deprecating yet honoring at the same time, or boastful at the same time. And when it comes to like kids and like the experience he had where everyone that he had cherished, kind of got like killed, um, it just kind of fuels who he is and how he perceives the people around him. I mean, he's been alive for so long that really everyone around him, kid, like
Yeah.
he's just kind of above it all. And that kind of says a lot when he encounters someone from back when, and how surprising that must be.
Yeah. Yeah, season two is good, and that's probably I think one of the first animes I say where it's like you get the first season, then the next season came out right after. I was like, oh,
Mm.
okay. Usually you gotta wait like a year, but that was like pretty cool to see that.
I'm really
Uh,
glad you enjoyed it. I'm happy about that.
oh, that was
That's
pretty good.
thank you. Yeah.
For my next question is basically if you could shout out one person that has helped you make it to where you are so far, that's been a good pillar of support and showing as a good support system for you. Could you explain why it's important to have somebody show support like that for you?
Man, like we said earlier, networking is key for a lot of people. I mean,
Sure.
really any industry you in, you got to be able to network well, network healthfully and effectively. And for me, I've always just tried to be my genuine self. And I feel like that's probably the easiest thing anyone can do. You don't have to keep track of being fake or anything like that. You just be you and be cool. Uh, and along the way, there's been so many people who have just, I guess, appreciated who I am, uh, the ability that I bring, the reliability and professionalism that I bring, and they've all just they'll always be people that I'm grateful for, whether it's Sean, Jason, Caitlin, um, whether it's any of the other actor friends that I have, or like my kids' teachers, or just
Okay.
my family. Like I'm always grateful to everybody who has contributed to this, even if it was indirectly. But the number one person that has always been supportive and helpful is someone that we talked about previously, and that's Bradley Garrett, man. Um, he's always been down. He's always been grounded. He's always been cool. He's always been wholehearted. And he's one of the most thoughtful people that I've encountered in recent years. He's always been there to support me as a talent, as a friend, as a dad, as a neighbor. Him and his fiance are just
Oh, he
wonderful
lived next
folks.
door type shit?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we were right around the corner. We was hanging out last night. Like
Oh, that's
Bradley's
amazing.
cool. Yeah. I mean, we have a nice friend group. Some of them are also talents like Eric Wielden, Austin Halter, Charles Wynn. Um, Jack, Wilbury, like we have a nice little group of folks that always have each other's backs. And it's really thanks to Bradley because we all ended up being friends with Bradley. So yeah, that's my answer. Bradley Gareth has always been really cool. And we kind of met in a funny way. I think I hit him up. Yeah, it was on LinkedIn. I just hit him up on LinkedIn. It was like, hey, man, you want to get lunch? And he was like, all right, cool. And from then on, we was just hanging out all the time.
What was the reason that you get lunch?
Man, I was just trying to network with somebody, and I said, Bradley seemed cool, so let me just hit him up. I think I had replied to him on Twitter or something. So it's not like that was our very first interaction, but we weren't like close or nothing before.
Oh,
and
okay.
I figured, man, I'm out here, like, let me just see who I can chit chat with and see who I can be friends with. And
so was that awkward?
Cool.
Just kind of just I'm all.
Was it awkward? No, maybe for him, because he was like, who the hell? And for me, I'm just always like, I ain't got much to worry about. I'm a big ass dude. And if anything, they probably more scared of me than I am of them. Like,
I can feel that. So how long do you think it, like, soon as y'all met or after like an hour, y'all just started clicking type thing?
Man, as soon as we sat down, started eating, it was all cool. Like, I think we went to, I don't remember exactly where we went, but it was a Asian restaurant. I think it might have been a Japanese restaurant because I had the egg omurice. I had omurice, and I don't know what he had. It wasn't as good as my omurice, but
so did y'all work on something beforehand, or you just was like, oh, he hit me up on Twitter, I'm just gonna send him a message, see what happened type thing?
No, I just hit him up. And I think his fiance kind of joked about it. You see, I mean, when it comes to me, I'm always been about having to be brave. Like, I've had my experiences in life, so I don't ever try to let something hold me back because I ain't got room in my life for that. So I just figured, this guy looks like someone I could get along with. Let me see if it work out. And he was always real.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna definitely have to try to hit Bradley up again and see if I can get him back on. I think it'd be cool to get y'all both on and have y'all talk about like Hell Paradise or some shit like that.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
For my next question, basically, I'm a huge fan of Chainsaw Man, and when that anime came out, it was dope. It's probably one of those few animes where I'm like, what you think of shonen anime isn't exactly what you're gonna get from this, because I mean the main character is totally different. He's like, I remember one of the few scenes you see in the beginning is him like literally kicking this dude nuts for like half the episode, and you're just like, God damn. Wow. But I do like the beginning of the show where you kind of have him, the dog kind of get inside his body and give him the powers and everything, and how that basically gets set up and everything. I thought that was a pretty cool setup to kind of show who is it Denji? It's a Denji. So basically, I just wanted to talk about is how did you get a part of that project? Did you know about the source material beforehand, and do you have any favorite scenes from that anime?
Let's see. So I was aware of Chainsaw Man. I had even seen Chainsaw Man in My Hero Academia. But and have you seen that manga panel as well?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out.
They it's when they all go to storm the Paranormal Liberation Front. It's when the League of Villains and the Paranormal whoever, the Liberation Army, had joined forces. And at that point, Hawks had already contributed the information about the hospital and I'm not sure if he was the one that contributed information about the hospital, but he was doing his insider business. He was the inside man, and they had to go storm all the villains. When they are coming up on him, about to jump him, then you see Chainsaw Man in like the bottom left corner of that front that's going in to take on all the villains. And then in the anime, because Chainsaw Man's anime had already gotten big, they changed Chainsaw Man to like a hacksaw dude instead. So instead of a chainsaw on his head, he had one of them Looney Tunes kind of deal.
Like hacked off. Yeah, I'm literally looking at it right now because I was like, I did not see that, but yeah, I see that. That's pretty cool. I see the anime panel of the real Chainsaw Man. Then you see the anime version where they got the. I guess they was like, we don't want no problems, no copyright. You know what I mean? But that would have been pretty cool to put them in there. Like, you know what I mean?
It would have been something, man, because heroes can't kill. I don't know what he's gonna do.
Man,
You're not allowed to. Not allowed to.
Yeah. I think what would have really been cool about it, because you know a lot of these manga artists love each other, like they like inspired from another manga artist. Because I'm surprised we don't see a lot more collaborations, especially with how many people they talk about. They love Akira Toriyama. Like I'm surprised there wasn't no collaborations with that. So it would have been cool if that could have been a nice little collaboration if they would have actually put Chainsaw Man in the anime and stuff like that. But the two shows are two completely different to kind of just be like, oh, let's let Chainsaw take over for a little bit on camera. And then it'd be like, well, now we got to change the whole rating of the show. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
and then it's like you said, they friends over there. So if you have someone going like, yeah, I'm going to put my main character or your main character in my show and just boop, he done, then that's kind of like, you're asking for something, man. You asking for something.
I don't know how that look, because I'm gonna put your own characters in my show, but I'm gonna have them die. Like, hold up, my characters don't die.
We just do it in my show because all my dudes stronger than your. Like, you know, you start on some other stuff. But man, that's all I really knew in detail about Chainsaw Man, which is extremely little. How I got the role. I mean, a lot of us got that role because we went in for a Wallace session for that. I got the email from production, and they was like, are you available during this time? And I said, yes, real quick, because I knew that Chainsaw Man was cool and I wanted to be part of it. So when we all went in for that, basically the Eternity Double is kind of like that one really awesome, nasty demon in Inuyasha that would like the no mask in Inuyasha that would just like eat people and make a conglomeration of bodies. Mm-hmm. That's like the Eternity Double. So we was all in there making creepy sounds. So like just moaning, groaning, death sounds, screaming, but freaking sex sounds. Like it was just a whole bunch of nasty. It was like Popovich said, so show me some nasty. And we made the Eternity Double. So, I mean, it's a whole bunch of us, like Bradley, me, Morgan, Kimmy, Devon, James Larrabee, Lizette. Like, there's so many people that make up the Eternity Double. And in my case, I tackled a lot of the deeper voices that you hear. I got to say, I think I said the name of the episode, Kill Denji. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things. And what was it? Rachel Thompson's also part of the Eternity Double. She said something like face your dread or something, and I said some like dread everything. But that was like the low voice that you would hear, and that was my portion of Eternity Double, other than like lots of screaming and stuff. So yeah, it was fun. It was definitely hilarious. I'm glad I had my throat coat that day. That's my tea that I keep from scratching myself up, scratching my money maker. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to it other than that for me. And favorite scene. So actually, my favorite scene kind of stems from that episode or episodes as well, where it's that girl, the girl who's always scared. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So her scary ass was always like, I know what you are. I thought that was a hell of a great line. And then later on, Homeboy, who was just like real cool, he saves her, like just barely. Like he gets shot in the throat. Yep. And then he's like, I need to save Kobanie or something, whatever her name is. And he has the ability to do that before taking one to the dome. And then she comes back and she's like, I'm about that life now, and starts capping everybody. I was like, bravo, ma'am. I love you now. Like you're my top dog. I really love her. I love that character.
Yeah, she did come out of nowhere when she came back on them with the car when they was trying to leave. And she starts fucking they shit up. Cause I was like, where the hell did all that come from? Cause she turned into something else. She like one of those characters where they be like, sometimes you just need to leave people alone. But you never know what they about. Cause man, as soon as she turned up on them, I was like, hold up. Is she like an A-rank? Like she was shooting, going by motherfuckers.
So you're supposed to get paid after all. Okay, you do have this job, huh?
You know what I mean? Because for a while, because I think the few episodes before that, you see her in the house like panicking, breaking down. And you're like, didn't y'all train for this? But then she showed you, yeah, we did. It's moments where I'm just not able to do it. But when I'm able to do it, I'm the baddest motherfucker out here. Because the fact that she was able to get them to actually run, because they was like, who the fuck? Because at first they was like only one person. Then they're like, oh, this too much.
She came with the business.
Man. Moving on to my next question, basically. Which anime has had the most significant impact on you and why? And how has your taste of anime evolved over the years?
Well, so of course, I'll answer this way. Whenever I get asked like, what's my favorite anime or anything like that, it's a fair question, but at the same time, it's an unfair question because there's so many that I have enjoyed or have become a part of me for various reasons. Of course, like the very first one that's going to come to mind all the time is DBZ. And when I was a kid going through what I was going through, like that gave me a lot of hope. Mm-hmm. That gave me like faith or confidence in myself, even if it was just a little bit. Then you have, shows like Rurouni Kenshin that made me think a little bit more of how I could affect the people around me in a positive way. Inuyasha just gave me a lot of joy, like Pokemon and Monster Rancher did. Cowboy Bebop just kind of showed me like, hey, I've got growing up to do. So I couldn't even understand what the hell I was watching. I just knew it was cool, and I really liked it. And then later on in life, I would watch things like I mentioned, Steins Gate, Attack on Titan, and they kind of morphed my view of anime from being, lots of shonen to, okay, there's more things with like adult themes involved here. There's mysteries, there's romances, there's seinen, there's shonen, there's shoujo. There's just so much that anime has to offer. And that it's not a genre in of itself. It's more of a medium. And then it has multiple genres to offer from there. So which one made the most impact on me? I think a lot of them have made very significant impacts on me. Even to this day, like I watched Akira pretty late in life. And I thought, man, oh man, like we really have had a lot of grandfathers to anime. And this made me think of what I would do if I had more of this or more of that. So yeah, I guess it's kind of I've probably gone on a rant here, but a lot of various anime have impacted me in ways that are going to be lifelong, positive impacts that are lifelong for various reasons. So I think they all equally have a nice contribution to my life. And that's it.
That's pretty cool. I like that. I'll basically say the same. I think it took me a while to really understand the concepts and stuff they were trying to show me in anime. So I'll say that probably to be the most the most impact and how my anime evolved over the years, really trying to understand what was actually happening in that anime. The anime that's done the most, had the most significant impact on me, I will have to say Dragon Ball Z. That is my favorite anime. I don't really, I haven't put another anime up there to even compete with it, because I just see Dragon Ball as just a whole complete body of work. You know what I mean? Like if I could create an anime, I would want it to be similar to kind of Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion. And I like the fact that you have Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. And I know some people don't like the story. They think the story is not that good. And I can agree with you, because some people do have good points. but you will never deter that from being my favorite anime. It's just
That's good.
That's what it is, type of thing.
And that's what it's about. You have something you enjoy. That's all there is to it. There's no reason for anyone to try to disparage anybody else about this or that. I think that's also a lesson that many anime have tried to instill on the consumers. So I'm happy to hear that.
We are down to my last two questions. My next question is basically being a voice actor of color or being African American, because that kind of sounds a little 1950 saying that like that. Do you find it challenging to find roles or be paid fairly? And how important is representation in media to you?
Representation in media should be important to everybody. And I think it is important to everybody, whether they admit it or not. I've had an interesting background. My folks are Nigerian. I'm the first generation of my family.
Can you repeat that real quick? Did you say your folks were Korean?
Nigerian.
Oh,
Ibu. Yeah.
That threw me off. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
he was adopted,
Can't
like.
You tell? But no, my folks is Nigerian, and I was born in Canada, and then I grew up in San Antonio, and then I lived in all kinds of different places. My upbringing was so different that I never felt like I was just like, I'm going to just be here. I'm going to just do this, or I'm going to only enjoy this, or I'm only going to view people or certain people this kind of way. I was just never like that. I always wanted to understand and explore as much as possible and be friends with whoever I could at the time as a kid. So that in itself was, I felt I was able to kind of always try to be outside the box. But I'm still black.
True.
Still always had experiences. And they were very unfortunate and traumatizing at the time. But I managed to learn quite a bit, not only about myself, but the world around me due to those experiences that no one would ever appreciate if they were going through them at that time. Voice acting, since an anime was what got me into acting, voice acting is what got me interested in acting. And I know that it wasn't always an inclusive environment, but back then I never thought that we would see the leaps and bounds that we have in societies today. I thought that, more inclusive casting, more diverse casting, more appropriate casting, I thought that would be something that I would see at the end of my lifetime versus right now. So I'm always very humbled and appreciative to even have my foot in a door, and have folks interested in what I'm doing and stuff, because it's mind blowing to me. And I love seeing that a lot of my colleagues and fellow actors and actresses, they out there saying everything as loud as possible. Because, back in mine, I had some experiences even on set where I was like, well, I guess that's the life that I got to deal with, And I was in a position where I thought, man, like, y'all really, back then, y'all really don't want me to be a part of this. Like, y'all really don't want me to be able to do this. And a lot of it was me just saying, you know what, I'm still going to do my best, because you're going to look back and go, shoot, we missed out on William. That was kind of like what drove me back when. But anyhow, before I start going on this ramble, today, when it comes to payment, I think really the focus should be on like dubbing and voice acting as a whole, rather than as whether or not you're a person of color or not. I think that folks who create anime, for example, I feel like we help entertain quite a few people, and the compensation should be more in general. This is coming from years of folks who create anime or folks who pioneered it, really not getting all that much. I mean, I think Sean, if I remember correctly, Sean Schemmel said to me in a class that for all of DBZ, originally he earned like 20,000. That's what I remember him saying in a class.
Damn.
And that's years of DBZ. And back then, it wasn't like you would go to a convention and charge people X amount of money just to get an autograph. And even when they did do that, I don't think they were charging a whole lot back then. So these folks really did pioneer a whole like medium of entertainment. And I always give hats off to them. I'm very glad for folks like Sean and Caitlin and Jason and whomever. Anyone who cast me, I'm grateful for, but there are some folks who really make it their business to make sure that anyone in a marginalized group, whether they're a person of color or an LGBTQ plus or what have you, that they consider them and they give them a shot if they can use them for something. Are there issues still in the world of entertainment? Yeah, just like with anything else. And I'm just glad that we're seeing the leaps and bounds that we have today, because there are people who wish they could have been here to see them too. Sure. So do I want to get paid more all the time? I don't know anyone who doesn't want to get paid more. Yeah, but I'm very grateful for what folks have done so far. We see a lot more people of color in anime and video games on screen. We see people of different creeds, different whether you're short, tall, fat, stout, muscular, skinny, whether you're a man, woman, somewhere in between, whether you're trans or not. Like there's so many people that we see on camera and get to hear behind a mic nowadays. So anyway, before I ramble anymore, I just want to say I'm grateful for how far we've gotten. And yeah, I think that there's more to be done as a whole.
Yes, I like that answer, and I like how true you gave that answer. Basically, I feel like you had a lot of emotion given that answer. I will say it's that to me, I've always felt like it was just hard for like anime to be so discriminative, because it's so many different characters. Like you can literally be a tree, you could be a book, it's so many different things you can be. But I can understand it being a buddy club and we figured this out and we trying to do this and trying to open it up, because doing these interviews and stuff, I've been trying to get more people of color to come on and speak about their experiences and stuff like that. And then sometimes when you go to that looking, trying to find them, it's like the same 4, maybe 5 people. And you're like, when we try to reach out to these people, then you think to yourself, like, is it only these 5 people they're calling? Like, they're like, where's the rest of these people? Like, it's so crazy. So I'm glad I was able to get you on here and talk about your experiences. My plan is to try to get more of you guys on here and talk about your experience as a whole and how is it coming, and trying to especially for people of my color who probably don't think that they can even get into this field. So that's the main reason I asked you that.
Oh, thank you. I think in the manga for My Hero, there's how the creator, he has these pages where he dedicates to describing characters, so like their birthday, their likes, their dislikes, all that. I think he has one for Ethan, and he says like it's one of his favorites. Like Ethan's one of his favorite characters. So I thought that was really cool too. And yeah, we get to see more characters with a little bit of melanin in them, in more anime. In fact, Bradley was introducing me to that, I think Michiko and something. I feel bad that I'm blanking on the title because it's been a little bit of a minute since I watched another episode. But Monica Rial plays the main character in that show. And I think the show is supposed to be symbolic of or representative of Brazil. So you get a lot of melanated folks in that show. And then we get characters like, what's his nuts? What's his nuts from Black Lagoon? Hell of a character. And just whenever we get to see them animated to look like us or look like someone who's Spanish or from one Asian country or another. That's cool. Like, people like to see that. So I hope that we get to see even more stuff like that, and just watch how they succeed. That's just, it just makes everyone happy. And there's just so many damn examples. I don't even see how anyone could ever argue about that.
True. And for my last question, basically, how would someone get into voice acting? Should they go to school? Are there any other routes? And how do you find job opportunities in this field?
Man, whew. So that is something that, believe it or not, we get asked a lot. And I say it like that because it's a fair question. Again, yeah, it's a fair question that doesn't have a fair answer. I personally believe that any established career or job should have a set educational path towards it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's why we have college. That's why we have universities. That's why we have trade schools. There should always be a set educational path for anything that is established. So if it's not outlier, if it's not something that we have just discovered, there should be something for it. But unfortunately, there isn't anything quite like that for voice acting. Of course, there's, film degrees you can get. You could take classes for theater as well, and more. Of course, there's workshops that you can take online or in person that are specifically for acting or voice acting. But as far as how you get particular opportunities, networking is going to always play a big factor. Being professional, being reliable, and having your resources together in such a way where anyone can kind of tap into them online and go, okay, this is what I can expect from this person. It shows that you've been taking your endeavor seriously. It shows that you're taking it just as seriously as the folks who might want to consider you for work. Anyhow, no, there isn't necessarily a school that's accredited that you can go to get like a degree in voice acting, but there are definitely classes that you can take that are somewhat parallel to that career or can help lead you towards that, to help you become a better actor, to help you become a better professional and understand what it is that productions are looking for and expecting from their talents. Getting an agent, of course, is helpful. They'll be able to represent you and get you jobs that you may not be able to find online or elsewhere or through your network. Being online, whether it's on social media or various, I guess you call them databases or services, such as casting networks or Actors Access, that's always going to be able to help you see breakdowns and opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily see anywhere else. As for like getting into particular video games or into audiobooks or into anime, it's a lot of it's going to vary from person to person and their particular journey. Whereas someone might go into a voice acting career thinking, hey, I really want to voice anime characters. They may find themselves doing a lot of promo work or a lot of commercial work or audiobooks. And that's how they continue to keep their practice up. That's how they continue to get their experience and how they continue to get that stuff right there. Cause that's that almighty dollar. But I hope that this ramble that I just helped you experience again was a good answer to that question, or at least as good as it can be. Really, if you are interested in becoming a voice actor, one, I would suggest to make sure that you establish yourself otherwise so that you can support your entrepreneurship. That means stay in school, don't quit that day job, because you are going to need to invest money to make money. It's not something that generally just happens overnight. It's not something where you just waltz in and go, sign me up, baby, I'm here. Because even if you're the greatest actor ever, that doesn't mean that someone can even legally rely on you. So if you're out there, just keep building those resources, keep practicing, keep networking. If it's something that you want, keep at it. If you decide to pivot later on, there's no shame in that game. Just be happy, be yourself, stay balanced, and no one can take that effort away from you.
Oh, pretty cool. Do you do this full time or part time?
Well, I do it as often as I'm allowed to, man. I'm making more now as a voice actor than I ever had before. So maybe if it wasn't 2024, I could say that this is completely full time and that's the only thing I need to do. But the reality is I'm grateful that I had at least some money saved, that some money that I could use. And is it getting better? Absolutely. I'm making more doing this. And really, if it was just me and my little home, yeah, full time. But that could change. That could change overnight. You don't know if you're going to get cast for something or not. All you can do is do your best to continue auditioning, continue to network, and continue to try to book as many roles as you can. I do think that if you are a full-time voice actor, that you'll probably never have to say it out loud. I'll say that. There's sometimes when folks will say they're a full-time voice actor, and that makes me wonder exactly why they're saying such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I was in education for like 10 years.
You was a teacher?
I was an English language arts teacher, ISS teacher.
My aunt did that for a few years, so I know about ISS.
Oh yeah. You gotta be patient, to say the least. And yeah, I was a sub, a long-term sub. I was an educational aide. Like I really enjoyed working with kids so they could just have a great academic future and a great future in general. I'm always grateful that I had those experiences, and I really hope that my students are doing good.
So you still kind of have that as a backup if you needed to?
Yeah, I'm still certified to teach. If I really wanted to just teach, then I could. But it's a lot of time, and you have to have time to do other things as well. And then I also have my teenage daughter who every once in a while takes up a lot of my time.
And we all know about that.
I'm glad for her, and I'm happy to be here, man.
All right. Before we go, I just wanted to ask if you had a question for me, or because I've been added on this new segment. Basically if you have a question for me or for another voice actor that may come on. So basically to get an answer from them.
Oh yeah. Let's see. You haven't talked to Van yet, so I'm gonna say you should get him on here next too. And if you ain't talked to Ray Hurd yet, hopefully he's down. I don't see why he wouldn't be. I bet he would be. You should hit him up too. So you down to talk to Van and Ray sometime?
Oh, most def. I think I hit Ray with an email. He hasn't hit me back. I don't know if I hit Van with one yet, but I'm most definitely gonna try to look him up and definitely do that.
I'm gonna talk to him tonight. And next time I see Ray, I'll say, "Hey, you talk to Ray?"
True.
And he's cool, man. I'm sure you enjoyed chit chatting with him. Man, let's see. You gonna watch some more dubs or what?
Oh, most likely I'm gonna watch some more dubs. Especially doing these interviews and talking to the people behind the voices has got me more interested in dub. I will say, before I did these interviews, I never really paid much attention to dub or sub. Like I'm more or less trying to watch the show. You know what I mean? So whatever way I have to watch it, that's how I watched it. So I never really was like, oh, I have to watch it this certain way because this is better or this way is better than that way. Because to me, I always think like, yes, I can judge the performance of the English, but I can't really judge the performances of the Japanese people because I don't really understand. But then the thing is, they could be doing amazing. Like, I mean, there's moments where you're like, okay, this is amazing. I can understand they're trying to get the emotion out and everything. So to me, it was never something that was like that big of a deal. One of the things that was a big deal to me and to this day is I hate theme songs.
Oh, really?
I like going straight into the anime. I don't really particular like theme songs. I just think they're just stupid. I usually skip them. Like most of the time, people be like, "I love this theme song." I'd be like, "I don't even know." So I don't know what you're talking about because I don't take the time to really listen to any theme songs, except for like maybe like the Dragon Ball Z's and your Naruto's. Like I've heard those. Like a lot of times when you watch those, you couldn't just fast forward. Like I like the fact that you have that on Netflix now. It's like skip theme. I'm like, yeah, I already know what it is. Like I'm not watching this. Like,
I usually will watch it once and then I'm like, all right, cool. Now I can just keep watching the actual episode instead of watching the theme over and over each time. So yeah, I feel you there. Now, when we couldn't skip it, it was just like, hey, this better be a banger.
You know, like, because if not, it was Bleach. Yeah, Bleach. I never liked the theme of the beginning of Bleach. Like the first few.
You didn't like that real metal one?
Oh, I did not. Like I used to be so mad. It's so funny because I think I watched like 6 episodes of it, and I was like, I can't watch this anymore. Like, is it just a thing? I cannot. So I had to come back later, and it's actually probably one of my top 5 animes. But before I couldn't fuck with it. But when I got to the point where I could just skip it, like get past that part, it was actually a pretty good show. I was like, I can't believe I let this theme song take away from how good this show was.
Nice, man. Nice. I feel you. I think, a lot of the themes I've really enjoyed, but yeah, like I said, I won't watch it over and over, even if it's as good as like the Rumbling. I really love that Rumbling introduction in Attack on Titan, but watch it once or twice and then, all right, cool, I got it. Let's just keep on going.
Get straight to the episode. We don't have to do this every, you know what I mean? Like, oh man. But is there anything else you want to discuss before we wrap up?
I think I'm cool, man, but I look forward to next time as well.
For sure. And with that, we end today's episode. I just want to thank my guests for coming on and chatting it up with me. Had a lot of fun and learned so much more about the industry of voice acting. And hopefully you listeners did too. Before we close out, I just want to allow my guest the opportunity to basically plug himself, tell everybody where they can find you and everything.
Hey, look, my name's William-Ofoegbu, Ofoegbu. If you search me up online, I'm not the only one no more. I found out there's a football player named William-Ofoegbu too. Love to meet him someday. But William-Ofoegbu on all the socials, Tweetville, Facebook, or the Bookface, and LinkedIn, whatever. Insta. I'm on Instagram too, kind of brand new on there. So if you search my name, you'll find me. Reign of the 7 Spellblades. Let's see. Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, like we mentioned, One Piece, Dead Mount Death Play. Let's see, man. There's so many more. So many more now. My Hero Academia. Just check me out and want to hit me up and let me know how you thought my performance was. I welcome it. Especially y'all who watched Sugar Apple Fairy Tail and just loved Sammy Jones. I really love to see all the praise for Sammy Jones, because he was nothing but a good man, that Sammy Jones. I really love seeing the comments about him. So let me know after you watch some Sugar Apple Fairy Tail, directed by Sean Gann, man with a plan. So let's go.
I fuck with Sean Gann. Most definitely. I'm going to have to let you know how I feel about that, because that's one of the animes I haven't seen, but it's actually on my list of things I need to watch, so I'm going to have to check that out. And with that, I'm just going to say peace. Well, also, I'll have his links and everything below.
Thank you, brother.
For sure. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.